Well, good morning. Have we any visitors this morning? From where? I can't hear. What'd she say? Brighton Heights. Oh, okay. Anybody else?
From Raleigh.
Raleigh, as in Carolina.
Yes.
Okay. Anywhere else? Where? Buffalo. Okay. Do they have a football team there? Oh, I guess they do. Anybody else? Well, we welcome all of you here today as we gather to continue our celebration. In the gospel today, there's a couple of things that we need to look at. First of all, the gospel starts out saying that they were in the region of Caesarea Philippi. What does that mean? Don't know, do you? You're going to start carrying your geography books with you. As you remember, Palestine was a long, narrow country and still is, and it's divided into three parts. The northern part, where Jesus was from, was called Galilee, and 80% of Jesus' ministry happened around the Sea of Galilee up in the north. Jerusalem was way down in the south, in Judea. And even though we hear a lot about Jerusalem, Jesus did the bulk of his preaching way up north. And the Sea of Galilee was the center of his ministry. Now, Caesarea Philippi was about 20 miles north of the Sea of Galilee, and it was a new city. It was only built by the Caesar Augustus in about the year 1. So around the time Jesus was just born, that city began to be built. So it was a Roman city, and it was new, and the apostles apparently had gone on a field trip. And in the midst of this teaching, this little field trip, he says to them, "Who are people saying that I am?" He was trying to check out his reviews, seeing what was going on. And so they said, well, there's some people say that you're Elijah or one of the prophets, and some other people say you're John the Baptist come back from the dead. And, and they came up with all that. He says, but who do you say I am? And so he challenged them to a personal choice. He challenged them to come up with an answer. So if this gospel applies to us, then we too have to answer, who do people say that I am? Who do you say Jesus is? Now be careful, because Peter got caught. So Peter jumps up, he was still called Simon then, and he says, you are the Christ, you are the Savior, you are the Messiah, you are the Son of the living God. And what happened? Jesus gave him a job. So you got to be very careful when you volunteer information. And so he said to Peter, he said to Simon, Simon, son of John, from now on you're going to be called Petros, Peter, which means in Aramaic Cephas, which means rock. So I'm not sure Peter fully understood what was happening there, but he got a new name. And then he said to him, I'm going to give you the keys. Now we have to talk about keys for a minute. What do keys mean? Well, we were taught in seminary, when you move to a new parish, don't go first to the pastor to find out what's going on. Go to the janitor. Go to the person with the most keys. Because the person who has the keys has the information. The person who has the keys has the access. The person who has the keys knows where the bodies are buried. And so keys are a symbol of power. They're a symbol of access. They're a symbol of knowledge. And so Jesus says to Peter, I will give you the keys to the kingdom. He didn't say, I'm making you king. I'm just giving you the keys. Now, Peter had no idea what Jesus was talking about. Probably thought he had eaten bad tuna for lunch or something. at that point, because none of this was understandable until after the resurrection. Now, we need to think about this today from the perspective of our own commitments. We have 7 sacraments. The first 3 sacraments are called the sacraments of initiation: baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist. And all of them require a public commitment. Who do you say that I am? Who do you say Jesus is? And just like Peter, when we proclaim something, we're getting a new job too. So when we say, we believe that you are the Lord, something is now expected from us. We have a baptism today. And when we take this small child back to baptize him, his parents are going to be asked, who do you say that I am? And in his name, they're going to answer along with this community. We're going to say that Jesus Christ is Lord. And so this commitment, this declaration, this proclamation of faith means now that something has to change in my life. And just as Simon got a new name and a new job, so too when we enter into any sacrament and we proclaim the kingship of Christ, we get a new job. We get a recommitment. We do something. So we can't just sit back and say, oh yeah, I'm a baptismal carrying, baptismal certificate carrying Catholic. It requires an action. It requires that something happens. You can't proclaim something and not live it. You can't proclaim something and then not do it. That's what we're always hollering at politicians about. You can't proclaim something. Who do you say that Jesus is? That same question is for all of us. But if we proclaim He is the Messiah, then something has to change within our lives. If we proclaim that He is Jesus, the Son of the living God, then something has to change in our lives.